Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back, as always, on Mondays. I'll sit down with one of my old buddies to have a little chat about the latest Manchester United news. Today, I got with me man like Jay. Subscribe to his channel, Scotty and Matty, or Scotty 2 Hotty, which is in the description below. Jay, how you doing, brother?
I'm all right, mate. I'm good. I'm basking in the glory of a 2-1 win over Brighton.
Oh, man, I've got to apologise to you for you. I've apologised to Joe.
All right.
I need to apologise to
Why?
you for my... I wasn't great to be with yesterday, was I?
Don't know what it is.
You can be honest here.
I've known you for a little while now, and we're mates. But you do make me nervous. I don't know what it is. Like, when you go on one, I get... You know what, right? One thing that's your bugbear is when players are in attack and they're not passing.
Oh.
And, like, when I seen the players going forwards last night, going through, and they weren't giving the ball, passing the ball, I was like, oh, man, come on.
Yeah, it's become a proper... Because we do it so much. But I also just... That game wasn't great. But really, after the game, when I got home, I thought, everyone's lost this weekend. It's international break. Brighton are actually not bad. And we beat them. So,
I mean, people may scoff because it's only Brighton, but it's a big 3 points out. Because, like,
especially in the context of the
Chelsea
table.
lost at home to West Brom. Spurs drew with Newcastle. I mean, those are 2 games that you think they're 3 points are given. So, had we done something similar against Brighton, it's like we've not really made up ground because you can't really look too much into the Leicester result. But no, it's positive all round. And as we said at the time, top 4, almost there.
Yeah, I think it'd take we'd have to lose like 5 games to not get top 4 now out of 8, which possible, but unlikely. Second spot, probably not sealed yet, but the rest of it, you'd think Champions League football will be at Old Trafford next season, which is important, I suppose, but still so much to improve on. And a position that is up in the air at the moment is the old goalkeeper spot. What have you made of Dean Henderson so far this campaign?
You've been saying this, and I can see your point of view completely. I'm not sort of going to say Dean Henderson's come into this side and been phenomenal. He's not, but he's been very good. That's my opinion of him. I think he's done the things that I'd expected him to do. He's commanded his box. His distribution's been good. We saw that at Sheffield United. We know he can do those things. Shot stopping's been decent as well. It's been good. Now, the thing with Dean Henderson is, for him to get ahead of David de Gea, he has to do the first 2 things very well. Like, his distribution and his command of his box has to be almost perfect, exemplary. And his shot stopping has to be not that far behind de Gea. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't be saying, oh, well, he's nowhere near as good at saving shots as David de Gea, but he's good at the other stuff, because then that's not good enough to get you into the United team. And he's close in shot stopping. It's debatable. But for the other 2, he's much better. So I can see why he's in the team. And in terms of his overall performance, he's been very good. And he's also played a lot of games against good teams this season. He played against City. He played against Milan. Liverpool. So these are good, strong teams. This isn't just the Colchesters and your Lasks or whoever Sergio Romero used to usually play against. So you've got to give him credit for that as well. So, yeah, he's not been perfect. He's had a couple of mistakes. You know, the Sheffield United one, I think.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Glaring
the Milan one at home probably couldn't have done better because it's more or less straight at him. But overall, I've been impressed with him. I think he's done well.
I agree with that. And I think when I look at Dean Henderson, I have seen a goalkeeper that looks like he's going to improve. He still looks very raw, and there's still things that he can improve on, and he will improve on with experience. And yeah, I look at him and I think, what a talent. I do think he's one of the best keeping talents around at the moment. But I do think we're in a tricky position at the minute, because I think De Gea has been very good this season. I think he's made 1 mistake that's led to a goal. There's been 1 or 2 kicks which haven't been great, and you look at them and you have that when it happens, but they haven't really turned into anything. And I actually think he had risen to the challenge of Dean Henderson quite well. Would you agree, disagree with that?
I'm trying to think. The reason I'm looking into space isn't because I'm not listening to you. It's because you're saying like 1 mistake, and I'm thinking the Everton game stands out straight away. And I'm thinking the first goal, is it the first one where he pushes it straight into the path of I can't remember who it was who scored for Everton. Then there was another. I think all 3 of them goals, you can look at it and go, he should do better for all 3. But one in particular was a bit of a clanger. Early on in the season, when there was all the talk of Henderson and De Gea, I thought De Gea sort of was playing well. And even when we had bad results, you know, we had some poor results at home at Old Trafford, he wasn't to blame. It wasn't his fault. It was just poor defending, and I think he was doing okay. But I think this season, and even going further back, I think the last 18 months, he hasn't been anywhere near the levels we expect from David de Gea. Even in terms of some of his shot stopping, hasn't been good enough. And that's why I think we're even having this conversation, Dean Henderson. Because if David de Gea was playing around the 2017, 2018 David de Gea, Dean Henderson's not getting this team. And he's not even having that conversation. He's not even getting told, well, get your head down, you might get him. No. It's like, forget it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now, I know you're going to get into it later on, but there's reports coming out that Ollie actually favours Dean Henderson as his number one. I don't know how accurate
Well, he
that
said
report's
the other
at.
day he has 2 number ones.
Yeah, I mean...
And he wouldn't have said that 12 months ago.
No.
Because
No
De
way.
Gea is your number one.
Yeah, of
so
course.
saying you've got 2 number ones may suggest to some that Dean Henderson is now his number one. To some. Because you would never have called him one of your number ones before.
Would you see Klopp saying that about Adrian or whatever at Liverpool?
No.
Would you see City? I don't even know who City's number 2 is. Is it? I don't know. Whoever it is.
Benjamin Mendy?
Who's City's
He does something
number?
there, doesn't he?
Benjamin.
There's a shark hat in there sometimes.
Mate, yeah, the mascot. He scored the other day as well, didn't he? But no, you wouldn't have that, would you? It's Edison, it's Alisson, it's, at Spurs, it's Lloris, whatever. The top teams usually have their goalkeeper nailed on and there's no debate about it. And yet all of a sudden we've got 2 number ones when our former number one, if you want to call him that, was player of the year 4 years out of 5 or whatever it is. I mean,
And that's the problem,
it's
innit?
madness. That.
The wages as well.
This is
We're spending like over $500,000 a week on goalkeepers.
And the trouble with David de Gea is, I think his stock has fallen over the last 18 months, 2 years. I think it has. And I think it has in terms of how he's considered around the world. Not just with United fans. Like, he's not Spain's number one. I think my point is, I think we might even struggle to get suitors for him. Whereas 2 years ago, anyone would have had him. Practically anyone.
Yeah, it's true. And there's talk of us having to pay him off. And
That's
all
what I
that
mean.
kind of
Like,
but isn't that mental that we would possibly pay off a goalkeeper who I would still say, all right, he's not top 3 anymore, but he's still one of the best keepers about. We could potentially let him go on a free, pay him off, and watch him go elsewhere and probably reignite his... And it just... This whole thing makes me feel uneasy at the moment. Like, I don't feel comfortable with what we're doing. Like, I get De Gea's on the decline. He's earning a lot of money. And it's hard to keep a keeper like that as your number 2. But I kind of feel like we're doing this a year too early just to appease Dean Henderson and make sure he doesn't leave.
There's a fair point there, because you might say, well, you could have David de Gea for another season. But I don't know, because I think, like, I go back to the Spurs game at Wembley, right, when we won 1-0, when Marcus Rashford scored the winner. David de Gea was unplayable that game, right? And it's like, since that game, he's always seemed to have one in him. Like, every 3 or 4 games, there's been something else. And you look back over that period, I'm thinking, like, the Chelsea game where he spills it, which more or less cost us Champions League, the derby, the Arsenal game. Do you know what I mean? Like, Barcelona, where it goes underneath him.
Yeah.
Like, Watford. I mean, Crystal Palace, Everton. Do you know what I mean?
Are you just shouting Premier League team names at me now?
If someone does the research, though, no, I'm not just
no.
making it up, like just naming teams for the sake of it. These are games where he's made a mistake, and yet you go back from, like, say, 2013 to 2018. There probably wasn't that many mistakes in that 5 or 6 year period than there's been in the last 18 months. It's just something that keeps happening, and I have to wonder as well, when you've got a defence that isn't as confident as it should be. Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Eric Bailly doesn't suffer from confidence, but he just suffers from injury problems. But even Wan-Bissaka and even Luke Shaw at times can look nervy. If you've got a goalkeeper who's a little bit ropey, doesn't command his area as well, I just think it all adds to this sort of a bit of a horror show. So, whilst I see where you're coming from, he's been a fantastic servant, and I get the argument that he's still one of the world's top goalkeepers. I think there's a touch of the Jesse Lingard's about him in the sense that he might go somewhere and reignite his career, but that doesn't mean he'd have done it at Old Trafford.
See, but...
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I get what you're saying.
I know
Like,
you might not
the
agree with
environment change
Yeah.
might help him.
Yeah.
But I also feel... And again, I've got to say this because people are almost going to take it as a criticism of Dean Henderson. I rate Dean Henderson. I think he's our future number 1, and I think he has great potential. But for the same reason that I wouldn't get rid of Anthony Martial and Edinson Cavani in the summer and just keep Greenwood as our number 9,
Right, okay.
is I feel like Dean Henderson next year is going to be the first season where he is our number 1, if this happens, with fans. There's a big difference.
No, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
You're Manchester United's number 1 now.
Yep.
And in front of crowds, you make a mistake, the press because the press at the moment, yeah, like he made the mistake against Liverpool, he made the mistake against Sheffield United and AC Milan.
Yeah.
Let's say those are the clear cut.
Yeah,
mistakes,
I know there's some
yeah?
that you debated,
yeah,
but
those are the clear cut ones.
Fair enough.
Like, if this is next season, the headlines are all about Henderson.
Yeah.
Everything is about Dean Henderson. And the narrative then changes from, look at this good young keeper who needs to be number one, and us English media want him to be Man United's number one. Let's get De Gea out. It then turns to, should this guy be number one?
Yeah.
Like, is he good enough for Man United? And that would really scare me, like, going into us. Because I already fear the number 9 position is one that could, I hope Martial sorts his form back out and we keep Cavani and all that. But we could possibly have that all up in the air.
Yeah.
Central midfield, if Pogba leaves and
Don't.
Fred and McTominay and all this, like, Matic is old, and we could have the spine of our team next season could be shot to bits.
Yeah,
because the centre half as well, everyone talks about that.
Yeah.
And I've just got this little, like, we could improve this season, get second, get Champions League football, potentially win a trophy, and then next season be back in a transitional period again. And it's like, fuck, we thought we were improving on this.
I think we almost are, mate. Even if De Gea stays,
Yeah.
I think we are. I think we've got a lot to sort
But
out.
we're adding an extra.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, like there is. Because the one sort of given at United for the last sort of 3 or 4 years when we've had all this nonsense going on in terms of new managers and new transfers has been, at least don't have to worry about the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's been like our saving grace because every new manager's almost gone with a different striker. Mourinho wanted had Zlatan and it was Lukaku, and then Oli came in and it was like he made your boy Martial his main man. Midfield has just been a massive merry-go-round where we've had all sorts going on there that I don't need to go into. The only sort of mainstay there of late has been Paul Pogba, and even he's going, and that's out of our hands if he does go. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from there with the goalkeeper. But I just think as well, if Ollie's got to be ruthless, then I don't know if he can still rely on David De Gea. I don't know if he can say, right, if David De Gea is my number one, I'm going to get top 4 or I'm going to get a title challenge if I can get a couple
Do
players
you think then, whereas I've got this fear of it going wrong,
Yeah.
do you think there's more a fear of Dean Henderson's career going right and we miss out on him? Do you think that's what the bigger fear is?
I personally don't. I know what you mean, but because my one sort of thing in the back of my mind with Dean Henderson that worries me a little bit, because I rate Dean Henderson, I'm like, I think he's a fantastic.
You're not going to say his touch of the Joe Hart, are you?
No, God, no. No,
He
that's
has,
what you
though.
said.
He
that.
has.
No, well, I'm actually going to say it's
Joe
not
Hart
that
was
he's got
good.
it. It's that it reminds me a little bit of the Ben Foster scenario, because hear me out, because the different goalkeepers, like he's better than Ben Foster.
Joe just popped up over there.
He's
like,
better than Ben Foster, right?
Why?
But you cast your man.
Ben Foster was very good.
Yeah, he was. This is my
He was
point.
very, very
Ben
good
Foster,
when he come from Stoke.
Yeah, he went. I'm sure he went on
He was a
loan.
great chef as
Yeah.
well at one point for Port Vale, I think.
Okay. He went on loan, did well. He was back in the United squad, played some games, did really well. Van der Sar got injured. Ben Foster comes in, everyone's like, he's ready. This is it. He's going to be the next goalkeeper for Manchester United, because Van der Sar was like 38 or whatever at the time, 39. This is going to be it. Ben Foster plays in a Manchester derby, gives away, tries to take on Carlos Tevez in his area. We just about get over that one. Yeah, we win 4-3. Obviously, it was a great game and all the rest of it, but he didn't help himself. Plays against Sunderland. I think it was Kenwyn Jones beats him to the ball. We draw 2-2 at home to Sunderland, which, you know, ends up
Is that
being
Stevie
costly.
Bruce? Berbatov scored a volley.
Might
Great
have
volley.
been. And all of a sudden, Ben Foster just looks like a liability. And when Van der Sar is fit again, he's straight back in the team. So I get where you're coming from. You're like, there won't be that safety net. If Dean Henderson starts having a couple of stinkers, who's coming in? Lee Grant. So you might have to, I don't know, even get a backup with a bit of experience who is happy to be number 2, who can come in if needed. Now, I don't know who that player is. He's not exactly growing on trees. Ironically, maybe Sergio Romero would have been that one, but it looks like he's destined to leave. So I think there's an element of, yeah, you might sort of, you're right to worry, but I don't think you can keep David De Gea.
You can't keep him because of the wages.
Based on that.
You think if his wages were half, he stays anyway, regardless.
Yeah. This is just the problem we've got going on United. We keep giving these players massive wages. Alexis Sanchez, didn't we have to give him away and pay some of his wages as well?
It's why I'm kind of a little
Like,
bit scared
you
of
can't
us
keep doing
giving
that.
Cavani a big deal.
I wouldn't give him a big deal. I wouldn't.
Because we did.
I think we're kidding.
It's like we would have given Aguero a 3-year deal.
Of course
now.
we would have. That's
4 years,
yeah.
a 4-year contract.
Like, I think Cavani's done okay since he come in. But a lot of it is just we've got caught up in the whole give it to Eddie Cavani. If you look at his performances, not just his numbers, his performances, they've not been that.
We do need to create some chances.
Like, all right, yeah, we do. But even when we have done, like, he's had some good chances. He's not converted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's had.
He was poor. Yes, he was poor against.
He's poor. Like, and I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's obviously a fantastic player. My worry is he going to get any better next season? And we're going to give him this new deal, and he's going to be turning 35. And he's only done okay this season. I think he's got 6 goals in 21 games, whatever it is. He's okay. He's not bad, but it's not amazing. And I just think that it's just, it worries me a little bit with that one. But going back to the whole Dean Henderson thing, I don't think it is Ollie worried about Dean Henderson's progression. And we can't miss out on him, because I think Ollie has to start thinking a little bit more short term in the here and now. Because if Ollie finishes 5th next season, he's gone. I think in the here and now, who's the best player to keep me as high up the table as possible? I think that's Dean Henderson. And again, it's not just because of the shot-stopping thing and the mistakes of David de Gea, but I think commanding his area, giving his defence more confidence and his distribution as well, all those elements put together, regardless, and I know it's hard to say regardless when it comes to £500,000 a week, whatever it is, or 400 grand a week, regardless of the massive wages David de Gea's on, I think if Ollie's going to keep his job, the best player for him to do that is Dean Henderson.
Interesting. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. One of the things I have to say, even if I'm a little bit sceptical about the decision if we were to let De Gea leave, is that it's a ballsy decision. It takes confidence in yourself, in your decision making, and it would actually pleasantly surprise me from Ollie. In a weird, it's not the decision I necessarily want to see happen, but the fact that you can almost fall on your sword and say, I'm making a decision. If it goes wrong, you have to hold me account. That's a big move. It's a big move.
It is, and listen, I love David de Gea.
Football's a ruthless bastard.
It is, and
game,
he's been.
There was a couple of years ago. Oh, please. Stay,
I know.
Dave, now look at us.
And he's given us a bit of pride, because I can't remember as a United fan where I've looked and thought there's none of our team that are getting any of City's team or any of the Scouts' team. But with David de Gea, we've always had at least one. Because you've always gone, David de Gea is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. He's the best goalkeeper on the planet. So it is sad that it's sort of getting to the point where, regardless what happens, he's joint number 1, which is just ridiculous. But you've got to look at it past sort of the last 18 months, during the last 18 months, and he just hasn't been.
Since that World Cup.
Yeah. Because he got a lot of stick as well, David de Gea, didn't he? And I think he suffers with Spain because he doesn't have allies in the Spanish press. If you play for Barca or Real Madrid, you have those sort of pro-Madrid papers or back you no matter what. He don't have that. So when people want to point a finger, he's an easy target. And it's like, he was even getting stick for not saving penalties and stuff like that. And it's not really his fault. So he's not had it easy with Spain. And over the last 18 months or so, he's not had it great for United. And the other same is, he's a goalkeeper, probably deserve more silverware if he does move on at his time.
It's like the old Ruud van Nistelrooy
he should have
thing,
won
isn't
more,
it?
shouldn't he? Yeah.
Ruud had 5 years there.
Won one
Greatest
title.
striker I've ever seen. 1 title.
How didn't he go to Madrid and didn't win a Champions League as well?
Fuck all there.
Yeah, how'd that
he spent
happen?
combined 9 years, I think it was, at Real and Manchester United. Didn't win 1 European Cup. That's a disgrace.
He timed it as badly as you can time it. If he'd have gone a year the other way, either way, he would have. Yeah, he would have
gone Real Madrid first, then United.
Yeah, but he won he couldn't have timed it, and during that time, he was the most prolific striker in the world. It's just crazy that. Yeah, I feel for David de Gea because I think that's how he may end up. He may end up looking back on his career and going, I won a couple of Europa Leagues and
at least he had a league title.
A league title and stuff like that. But during his time at United, he should have won more, really.
Even if you think of Spain.
Yeah. It's another one.
Like Spain won the Euros and the World Cup.
I mean, he could have quite easily been in that team, and he still would have won those trophies. Do you know what I mean? It's like could have stayed at Atletico and maybe picked up a La Liga.
Champions League, maybe. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and comment and share and subscribe. And subscribe to the Manch channel right there. Get your thoughts in on De Gea and Henderson. What?
Henderson? Is that his new nickname? Henderson.
What am I saying?
You sound like always giving people nicknames, isn't he? Henderson. There you go.
Oh, Hendo.
Hendo, Rashi. Oh, me Pezzies.
Oh, God. Anyway, see you in a bit.